Well, we're gonna try this. I don't know. I think it's more of a pain in the ass than it's worth. It really is. Because this thing is gonna try and stay there, and I don't know that you guys can see everything. Plus, I got the dog with me today. Dog. If I can figure out how to rotate the doggone camera, because it used to have a little rotation thing here, but see now all that does is turn it that way. That doesn't work. Morning. So apparently the microphone was off the whole time. This thing won't let me rotate it back. So there. But then the microphone thing doesn't work all that well. Anyway, sorry guys. Trying to figure this. I've got a new, it's a new, what do you call it? I'm gonna try shutting that off for a second, see what happens. Bear with me. I know this is probably a real pain in the butt too, isn't it? Because it won't doesn't want to. It says orientation's locked, rotate device back. Okay, well, how do I rotate the device back? So there, it's back. And if I set it down, it wants to keep trying to move instead of just staying there. Anyway, then we got this little thing that's supposed to follow you. And I don't really want it to follow me. I want it just to stay tight. Like so. Let's try that. We're getting off our rock pile. Because we're in 12 foot of water again. Come on, Seth. Let's go find our rocks. See if we can't pull a fish or two off of here, and then we'll run back down. I got another spot down next to the dam that another bunch of rocks we've been doing real well on. 16 foot, 17 foot, 20 foot. The wind's not blowing, just a little bit of a breeze. It's probably about 52 degrees now. Water temperature 60. The fish ought to be getting on the bed pretty quick. I'm getting old. Can't do this as quickly as I used to. Oh, there's a good one. There we go. Come on, baby. Maybe not as good as I thought, but it was a good hit. I don't know. Yeah, that's a good fish. Yeah, it's a pretty one. Again, we don't normally swing them in the boat like this, but that's a little better. Be calm, girl. Let me see if I can get in here. There you go. Good girl. Good girl. A little bit bigger. Pretty bass. Sun's in y'all's eyes. Sorry about that. Lake Alexander smallmouth. Give it a kiss. Jimmy Houston used to kiss all them fish. He got me kissing fish when I was a kid. I've been kissing fish. I'm 61, so let's say I've been kissing fish for 55 years. Yeah, you could get out here. My vet and I went fishing like a year before last, and he'd fished this lake his whole life. He was raised here, and he just never did very good. And I was telling him about the days we were having out here, and he thought I was crazy. So I brought him out here, and we probably caught 200 fish that day, which was great because it got him hooked into it again. And he's got a boat, but he doesn't have a Go Devil like I've got. If you guys go back and look in my videos, I kind of did an overall thing of my boat, so y'all know what we're using. But it's an 1860 Go Devil. For those of you who don't know what a Go Devil is, it's a surface drive motor. It's a mud motor, so it's basically a lawnmower engine with a it's got a belt like a blower motor belt that runs down and runs a shaft. It's a straight drive shaft from that pulley, and it's air cooled, so you can run it at anything. But it runs really shallow, and this is a flat bottom boat, so it'll beat you to death when it's choppy. It's not as bad as some of them, but Warren Coco builds a hell of a boat. We drove all the way to Louisiana to pick this thing up. I special ordered it the way I wanted because I use it for hunting. Deer hunting. We've pulled mule deer out in this thing, which my friends all tease me about. Like, I never thought you'd be able to kill a mule deer doing it using a boat to get to them. But anyway, it's a fun boat. The dogs love it, huh, Sess? Sess says I like the boat. The other two dogs are at home. They are mad because I left them this morning. So I'm probably going to be in all kinds of trouble when I get back. There's a seagull drifting off the rock pile. I'm going to come back out Thursday. I'll try and figure out how to give everybody notice that I'm coming out. But like and subscribe, share it. We do a lot of hunting and fishing and just goofball stuff. I'm old, so I can't do all the crazy stuff I used to do, like riding bulls and racing motorcycles. And it's a good thing because I'm beat to death from doing all that stuff. And this year, I started in January. I had my left rotator cuff all rebuilt. And then 4 weeks later, I had my right hip replaced. And then 4 weeks after that, I had my left hip replaced. So I'm damn near bionic. I had my right rotator cuff done last year, and then I did I had a full knee. This whole right knee was redone. They did a new knee, and that didn't take, so they had to do a revision. So I've been kind of spending my winters just getting fixed up so I can make it through hunting season. And then about October, when hunting season's done, seems like something else is broke. So I got to go get it fixed. And lucky for me, my surgeon, Dr. Aaron Altenberg, is also my hunting buddy. So I almost had him talked into doing both hips at the same time, but I'm glad he didn't, because if I had to do it over again, I wouldn't do that. It still hurts. Dragging myself out of bed in the morning, and it's been, well, it was St. Patrick's Day when they did my left one. And then I knocked my tooth out. So when you'll see I have like I'm missing a front tooth, and I knocked it out, and well, actually it just came out. It was a crown, and the doctor told me I can't do any major dental work for 6 months after the last hip surgery, because I guess the hip's like the worst place. I was a coroner, so I know a little, more than most people about medical stuff, but I was a coroner down in Rio Grande County, Colorado, a chief deputy coroner. And anyway, I did not know that your hip you can get an infection in there and it'll just sit there and do bad things. So they won't do any dental work for 6 months. And then they also told me, the nurses at Dr. Altenberg's office are really good friends too. And they're like, Radar, you have got to take an antibiotic from now and forever till you die. When you get dental work done, you make sure they give you antibiotics before they start. So I did learn about that. We're going to ease back to that point. This one's just kind of, this rock pile didn't have on it what I thought it might. Yeah, we'll ease back to that point. See if we can pull another fish or two off of that. And or you know what? Let's do this. If y'all don't mind going for a boat ride, those of you who are with me, we'll crank this thing up and we'll run back to that spot I was catching so many fish at the other day. Because I know they're in there, they're staging. That's got lift assist. That Minn Kota is awesome. It's got a lift assist thing so an old man like me can pull it up with a bad back. Yeah, so anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to take crank up real quick and take a run, and it'll take us about 5 minutes. So I'll just leave the camera on and kind of tilt it back and hope it doesn't do stupid things while I'm driving, or the dog doesn't knock it off. She's good about that. Anyway, let's go for a boat ride real quick. See if I can get that right there. Come on, Seth, stay in the boat. Get in here. Come on. Good girl. Stay. Trying to keep this dog in the cockpit because she thinks that. See, she just shut it off. Why are you shutting off my motor? Come here. Stay. Quit shutting off my motor. She did that the other day. She hits it with her tail. See, it did it again. I have no idea why. It shuts itself off. And then I have to rotate it again. And there we're back. Sorry. Anyway, let me see if I can turn this around. Yeah, there we go. We're going to go for a run. I'll just hold on to y'all. Sesta, get in the boat. Get in your seat. Stay. She wants to get back there where the boat is at and ride next to the water. Lake Alexander. See the view? Beautiful. I keep a dog in the boat. I don't know why that thing rotates like it is. Anyway. I just got this gimbal the other day, and I got to figure out a way to mount it a little better. So it'll give you guys a better view. See, it does weird stuff. Crazy. Try to keep that dog in the most of the hand. You guys like and subscribe. We'll be doing a lot of fishing this summer. And I guarantee you there's going to be a day or two we catch 200 fish. It's crazy. I think I figured out the microphone, but we're going to hit a rock pile over here. Welcome, everybody. Go Devils not fast, but she'll get you there. Yeah, right in front of us, there's a dam. And you can get pretty close to it, but there's a big bunch of rocks out here, kind of offshore a little bit. And we're going to be right now in probably about 45 foot of water, and up there it's 2. So let me see if I can flip this around without it messing up. There we go. Put y'all back up here. Get this doggone thing rotated where it'll stay where it's supposed to stay. Because it's wanting to do weird things. I don't know why. See? So it just fell, and I don't understand that. It shuts itself off. There. It'll stay there for a little bit, and then it just quits. And I charged the battery up, so that isn't it. So again, bear with me. I'm going to get to a point where I got this to a science. We're going to catch some fish right here. We get up on these rocks. Huh, Cess? Cessna says, I know where we're at, Dad. Cessna says, I know where we're at. And I don't think I got the chat on. Again, sorry. I'm old. Technology, cool stuff, but it's a little bit different than it is when back in my day. I was an airline pilot. Flew for Alaska Airlines. Was a bush pilot and a crop duster. So I can deal with kind of a lot of things at once. But man, this new stuff, like I don't know why that thing keeps trying to tilt. I don't have it on a follow deal. But we'll get up here. There's going to be a fish here, I guarantee it. I'll Cessna. I'll Cessna get up here and catch a fish, Cessna. It's real shallow and real rocky. You got to keep your rod tip up. Cessna says, let's catch a fish, Dad. It's still pretty clear back in here, too. That should be good for a fish. I do better on the main lake than I do up in here, but there's times we've come up here and just slayed them. This gets hit a little harder because, like I was saying earlier, a lot of people don't like going out on the main lake and running because there's some rocks out there. We call them BFRs, big frickin' rock. And if you hit one of those, it's not going to be a good day. And they've had people hit them. So a lot of people stay out of the main lake out there. And then they go out there and go catfishing. There's pretty good catfishing in here. That's introduced. The smallmouths were introduced. The only thing that would be native in here would be the cutthroats, the native Yellowstone cutthroats. On the Bear River, that's what this reservoir is on. The Bear River runs through it. They built this reservoir, I think 65 years ago or so. Hold water for the farmers. So it's a private reservoir, but it's managed by Pacific Corp, which is a power company. And they've been pretty good with it. You're not allowed to camp down here at the boat ramp overnight, which I wish they'd change because it'd be nice to bring the motorhome down here and go catfishing. Hey, why are you on that? Get off of there. All everybody's seeing is your butt. Come here. Come. Really? Cessna's taking over the show. Why you gotta be on the cooler? Come on. Off. Come on. Off. Come on. See, look what you did. You're a fruitcake. Now you mess this all up again. I don't know how you guys can hang with me. Thank you. The 6 of you that have been here, that's pretty awesome. Sorry about that. Cessna, she want to be star of the show. She said, I want to catch a fish, Dad. That should be good for a fish. Right across the rocks. But it is a little muddier down here. .24 foot where we're at. Because I'm on the outside edge of this rock ledge. I'm throwing across those rocks. There ought to be a fish. I caught that brown trout right down here the other day. The water temperature here is 61 degrees. There's one. Yep. That's a dink. Look at there. That's your fish, Cessna. Look at that little guy. That's yours. That's your size, Cessna. Come on, buddy. Don't tear your lip up. Let's not tear you up. Let's get you back in there. Even the little ones get a kiss. Pretty little one. See? The bait's almost as big as the fish was. Aggressive. Aggressive little guys. 23 foot. Picked up some grass. Nope. These live pointers are the ticket in here. The problem is they're $18 a piece. So my wife kind of has a fit whenever I'm buying lures. I try and do 3 at a time or so she's not too freaked out. Grass is already starting to grow in here. And being a crop duster and somebody who has an aquatic restricted use chemical license and also all the other chemical licenses from being a crop duster, I can tell you this grass grows fast. And we're getting a lot of invasive grass in these lakes now because people are bringing them in for aquariums and stuff, and you wouldn't think that stuff would survive. Oh, there's a good one right there. Oh man, right at the boat. That's a good fish. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Should have got the net out. That was a 15-incher. That was a good fish. Like I say, if I was in a tournament, I'd be mad right now because that was a 15-inch fish. In this lake, there's a hit. They have to be 14 inches to keep them. And then we usually don't keep them unless they're 16 inches. But again, I don't keep them this time of the year because they're full of eggs. And even though they're an invasive species, you're allowed to keep 6 bass out of here. And they have to be 14 inches. What we do is we'll wait till the spawn's over before it gets real hot, and we'll come out here and catch a couple limits and then have a fish fry and then do another bunch of limits or a few limits in the fall, so we've got some fish in the freezer. But normally right here I catch more fish casting back to the east, and the reason being the current runs to the west towards the dam. And like today, the wind's blowing a little bit, so we got a current. That's a little bit of current. And these fish like to stay facing into the current, as everybody who fishes knows, so that when the current will bring bait by them, they don't have to work their butts off to catch something. So I usually catch more fish, and you will too, if you fish with the current. Meaning working like on a river, you work upstream if you can. Sometimes you just gotta improvise. And like here, we catch them in every direction. It's just so yeah, we're on a long hump right there. 25 foot, and then there's a big old rock. Professional override. There we go. I could keep it above that grass in there, and then pull it down on this edge right here. We should catch a fish right about there. Not as fast today as I was hoping. It started off pretty good. And ducks. There's duck Cessna. $36. We got to get back on these rocks. Yeah, I should not have tried to. There's one. I should have tried not to get that fish in the boat. That's a good fish there, too. Yeah, that's a good one. When you can feel them shaking their head, it's usually a pretty good fish. Yeah, not bad. Again, I shouldn't be swinging them in the boat, but I'm too old and fat to be trying to get down there. Oh, there we go. Sorry about that, buddy. No, ma'am, not for you. Not for you. Let's get him. That's a female. Anyway, pretty fish. Get your butt back in there. On the rocks. You get on the rocks. Like and subscribe. I didn't ever want to really try and monetize or do all that stuff, but then there's a deer. Did you see that Cessna? That deer came down and took a look at you and left. A mule deer doe. Yeah, later in the spring here, there'll be elk come down and get in that field right there of taters. And they'll just lay down. And it's amazing. You can't see them till they stand up. Or if somebody goes by and spooks them, all of a sudden you'll see a whole herd of elk get up. It's pretty cool. A lot of turkeys down here, a lot of deer. It's just a real pretty lake to fish. And unfortunately, you guys get to look at the field in front of me instead of the mountains behind me because the mountains are a hell of a lot prettier. All right, we got to get another fish Cessna. Where's it at, Cessna? Right there. Yep. Come on, hit it again. 25 foot. Got some grass. I watch people that'll get grass on their lure and they'll smack it on the water. They'll to get it off. And I did that when I was younger with a pretty expensive lure. And I smacked the crap out of it and it broke the lure in half. So I don't do that anymore. Probably was a default in or fault of the lure being messed up. But where's that fish? There's one. Nope. So we got over a rock pile here a little too close. And I just got a rock. And these lures, the other thing is, man, when you guys get hung up, I got to tell people, I don't guide anymore. I just can't. My back won't let me do it. But I used to guide in Alaska. I had Radars Alaskan Bush Adventures, and I had Alaska or Radars Unlimited Adventures in Florida. And we did a lot of flats fishing and fly fishing. And I had 3 world records on the fly rod in tippet class, 2 snook and a freshwater crappie out off of Farm 13. But anyway, I tell people when they get hung up, they want to jerk on it. It's like all you're doing is driving that hook in there. If you're hung up, just wait. We'll go get it. Or I use braided line for a reason. So I have a fluorocarbon tip on this because right now I can. And there was a big thing with people going on about not using a fluorocarbon leader with braid. And I agree with that to a point, but not when it's clear. Anyway, they'll drive that hook in there. And the reason I use braid is I can usually, these are Gamakatsu hooks on these pointers, and really good hooks, but they're sharp as can be, but they're not super thick. So using braid, if I get hung up and I have to, I can pull on it and pull the hook straight usually, and then I don't lose the lure. And I've got, extra hooks with me, of course, so I can always just change a hook out real quick. But then I'm not losing an $18 lure, because they are expensive. Fish behind the boat here on that rock pile. Yeah, you go to those rock piles, you'll blow those fish off of there, especially when it's 2 foot, obviously. But it doesn't take them long. They'll get their butts back up there pretty quick, especially right now because they're kind of vying for bedding areas. There's one. Oh yeah, that's a jumper. Got a jumper, Cessna. Got a jumper. It's a black one too. That's a good fish. It doesn't get into the motor. Oh, we got this one hooked kind of wrong. Watch out, Cess. That's a good fish though. If I can get a hold of this without getting a hook in me. Come on, baby. Turn around one more time. There we go. Bass is dark. It's been in those rocks. Some of these fish get up on these deeper holes like this and stay there, I think, all winter. Let's see how dark that fish is and banded. Tail's a little messed up and split. Getting ready to bed. But yeah, that's a female. She's got some eggs in her. She's a pretty girl. Let me see. That one is. Whoops. About knocked you guys over, didn't I? Hold still. You know what? I was going to measure just for kicks and giggles. Yep, just under 14. All right, come on. Let's go get back in there. Good girl. But I cannot understand for the life of me why this camera does that. And then I don't know if it's see, crazy. Something hits it and it just drives the doggone thing nuts. And I don't know why it won't stay, or it'll stay forward without being crooked. Anyway, that was a good fish. Just a little under 14 inches. Get back over here, see if we can get another one. Because we're in 20 foot of water now. I've tried doing crawdad patterns out here, like drop shotting, Ned rigging, and all that. I just don't have the patience anymore. I never was. I could catch fish in tournaments doing that, but I didn't like to. My partner, he was really good at that. So I'd throw top water all day, a big old frog, and I might only get 10 hits a day, but they're all huge fish. So we usually would catch big bass of the tournament, and that would pay for the tournament. If you catch big bass and you get the big bass pot, you usually make enough money to pay for the tournament. And if we stuck every fish that we had a hit on and didn't miss any or lose any, we'd usually win the tournament. And I was fishing extreme bass and southeastern bass anglers and couples tournament that they did. It was pretty fun to fish. We won a lot of tournaments. I made pretty good money doing that. I never did fish. I fished a couple Bass Angler Sportsman Society ones, but there's a good fish right there. Now, come on, baby. She's mad too. She's mad. There we go. We're getting bigger. Watch out, Seth. So see there, this one's 14 inches. I guarantee it. Now hold on, because I don't want you hurting yourself. You're going to get that hook all in you. So if you let me get this out of here, I can get this without hurting you. Maybe. Nope. Got to get the pliers. Got to get the pliers. Let me get that hook out. The rest of these will come on out of here. Then I can show everybody you're going to be famous. Boy, I only had her with one hook. Dang it. Come on, baby. See, it's amazing how you could get these fish. Yeah, it's a pretty fish. That one's right at probably 14. I'm not going to lay it down there and measure it. Good girl. I haven't been keeping track, but that's probably, I don't know, 8 fish we've caught so far. Cessna says, I'm happy, Dad. She's out in the boat today, which is always a good thing for her. I got 2 mad dogs at the house. It's Lily. Lily's 13. And if Nancy's not with me, I kind of hate to bring Lily out here because if she fell in and I had to pick her up, I'd have a hell of a time doing that with my back. Come on, Seth. We're going to get back into position here. But see, we got downstream of this a little bit. And we're casting back up and bringing that lure back with the current. So those fish, like those last 2 are real dark. They've been hanging in the rocks. And so they'll just lay there waiting for something to swim by, like my live pointer, and they'll ambush it. And the good thing, these smallmouth aren't, at least in here, and I didn't catch a lot of smallmouth in my life. I mean, I was catching huge largemouth. I caught one in high school that was 15 pounds, 10 ounces. And we didn't mount it or anything. We took it and put it in my uncle's pond because it was a monster. And that's the biggest bass I've ever caught. But I've caught a lot over 10 pounds. Because like I say, I was throwing big frogs all the time. And my uncle and I got into kind of a little contest about who caught more fish he started using shiners and live bait. And I never would do that because I tease him about it. Like any idiot can soak a shiner. But you got to be able to kind of fish to be able to catch them on a big bass on a frog or something. So anyway, he caught more fish over 8 pounds than I did, but he caught a lot, 8, 9, just under 10 pounds with those shiners. But I caught just as many over 10 as he did because I was showing it to more fish. I mean, if you're soaking bait, it's kind of sitting there. But by casting, you're showing your bait to more fish. And again, I had him beat with the biggest one caught because that was a 15-pound, 10-ounce bass on a black and white tiny torpedo at Corrigan's Ranch out Vero Beach, Florida. When we first started bass fishing, I was raised on the Indian River in Florida, in Vero Beach. So I did a lot of saltwater fishing and brackish water fishing. When I was a kid, we lived 2 blocks from the ocean and a block from the river. So on the island there on Hutchinson Island. So I was always out fishing, sneaking out of the house at 2 o'clock in the morning through my bedroom window to go fishing. Because back then you could do that. in second and third grade, and nobody run off with you. The cops would take me home on occasion. Old Officer Chestnut, man, he'd find me, and he's like, Matthew, you know you're not supposed to be out here. You got school tomorrow. And I'm like, give me just a few more minutes because I got to where I was catching snook, which are delicious fish. They're like a largemouth bass kind of in salt water. They're aggressive and they get huge. And that was my two records. I had a 2 pound tippet record that was a 12-pound fish, snook, common snook, and then I caught a 24.5 pound snook on 8 pound tippet. And that record lasted for a while. Because that was a tough one. But I forgot it got broke probably 6 years ago or so. But I wasn't raised bass fishing in fresh water. It was kind of a treat for me to go freshwater fishing because my granddad would take me out. We had groves that we ended out in the St. John's Marsh. And if you had groves out there back then, you could go out there and fish the main reservoir, which was otherwise it was off limits, but there were some huge bass in there. I mean, if they opened that up to the public, they'd catch a world record bass in there within a year. I guarantee it. Because we'd catch some monsters in there, and nobody could fish it. And there's no way to get a boat in it. We had to take a little bass bantam, put it in off the dike, or a little john boat or something. But so anyway, I didn't get to bass fish that much, except for when Granddad would take me. And I got into that, man, about high school. We started fishing Corbin's Ranch in a john boat we had. My uncle caught a 10-pound, 8-ounce bass on a big old purple worm with a spinner on it. And he got it mounted. And a week later to the day, almost at the same time and almost in the same place, I caught a 10-pound, 8-ounce bass. It was exactly the same size as his, looked just like it. And back then we did skin mount, so we knew it wasn't the same fish. And so he mounted that one for me. And that's what started it. We started bass fishing. And I mean, Bass Angler Sportsman Society was taking off. We were slaying them, having a great time. Fished a few tournaments when I was young, but not as many as I did in the 90s and through 2000s, about 2011, 2012. Before I moved back out west here, I was fishing tournaments, had a nitro bass boat. And since I'm retired law enforcement, there's a lot of law enforcement tournaments we'd fish. My partner was a police officer or sheriff's deputy in Citrus County. So we did a lot of those. There were a lot of jackpot tournaments. On Wednesday night, there was a jackpot tournament on a local lake there in Inverness. We'd go fish that. It was always fun because the guys we'd fish against in that tournament, we always fished in the big tournaments against. And everybody was friends back then, too. Like, there's always one jerk. It seemed like there's always a jerk. But for the majority, man, the people were friendly. We had a ball. I won a tournament one time because I hate cold fronts in Florida because when a cold front comes through, it shuts the bass down. Florida bass do not like cold. And I was out there, the cold front was coming through, the wind was howling. It was temperature dropped like 15, 20 degrees pretty quick. And I was cussing the weather. And Eddie, we called him Spinnerbait Eddie because he always threw a spinnerbait. And he'd win some tournaments. He's a good fisherman. But Eddie called me on my cell phone. And he said, "Are you mad yet?" I'm like, "Yeah, pretty much. This is going to kill it for us." And he said, "Put on a white spinnerbait." And I said, "You always say put on a white spinnerbait." He's like, "No, put on a white spinnerbait. I just caught an 8-pounder." So I'm like, "All right." Now we're fishing against him in this tournament. And, several other, like a lot of other boats. But put on a white spinnerbait. Dave put on a white spinnerbait. And we ended up winning the tournament on white spinnerbaits. And I felt bad. I told Eddie, I gave him some money for gas for his boat. Because I'm like, dude, if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have won this tournament because we wouldn't have put on a white spinnerbait. But nowadays, man, those people are cutthroat and just kind of nasty. It kind of takes the fun out of it because, if you if somebody beat us in a tournament or we beat them, I mean, they were happy. You know, I always would get on stage to tell people what I was doing because I'm not hiding anything. It's like a lot of times they wouldn't believe me because I'd tell them I was throwing top water all day. And like, this is a sunny day today, and they'll, you know, the people, some quote unquote experts will tell you don't throw top water when it's sunny. Don't throw top water when it's cold. Don't throw top water. You know, there's all these don't throw top water. I threw it all the time, and I've caught fish, a lot of fish on real sunny days. I've caught fish when it was one morning on Crescent Lake in Florida. We were fishing a tournament out of Palatka. And the temperature dropped to right at freezing, which sucked. But we'd run from Palatka all the way down to Crescent Lake, which is about 90 miles, freezing our butts off. Went to the spot because I'm like, you know what? It's so thick in there. It's still got to be a little warmer in there. Let's go try it. And first cast, I threw a frog and caught an 8-pounder, and it was 30, 32, 33 degrees on top water. Now, she didn't come up and destroy it. She just kind of came up and sucked it in, and I watched her. She wasn't 20 yards from the boat. And my buddy that was fishing that tournament with me was my alternate partner, Troy McCubbins, and he about died. He's like, man, I would have never guessed. And I said, yeah, I didn't get another hit the rest of the day, but that gave us big bass for the tournament. And it was worth a couple grand. So again, we paid for the tournament by catching those fish. Because I tell you, anybody watching this, if you fish bass tournaments, the reason we won so many tournaments was a lot of people go out and they fish for 5 fish because, you know, they want to get their 5 fish in the boat so they have a, you know, legal limit. But they're fishing for, you know, smaller fish or whatever in the morning, and then you go try and catch that big one. And what Dave and I did was we were always trying to catch that big one. So we didn't catch a lot of 2-pounders, you know, pound-and-a-half fish just because of the baits we were using were big baits. But because of that, when we caught a fish, it was usually a pretty good one. So if you change your thinking on that, I mean, especially first thing in the morning, if you go out and throw a big old frog in a Florida lake, you know, just about any time of the year, and you fish it first thing in the morning right at, you know, daybreak, you got a better chance of catching a pretty good sized fish. So we picked up a bunch of grass there, and there's a bunch of carp. They're already up there starting to do their breeding thing. So we're going to whip a Yui. You can see the beautiful scenery we have in front of us. It's pretty. And he's back down this rock pile again. Huh, Cessna? What's the matter, baby? You want to ease down the rock pile? You want to ease down the rock pile? Well, like I was saying, this is a small Monsterlander pointer. It's an awesome breed. I love Labrador retrievers. I've been fortunate enough. I'm 61, and I've had 3 awesome Labradors. Ambler lived to be 17 years old. She duck hunted until she was 15. And the reason I didn't get another lab was because I like big labs, and I cannot pick up a 100-pound dog anymore. But you can't use those little 40-pound labs out west here because a 40-pound lab's not going to get a 20-pound goose that's injured. That goose will beat the hell out of a small lab, where my lab was big enough she'd just grab it and bring it back to me. So these little guys, these Monsterlanders, they're 45 to 55 pounds. And I could pick them up if I have to. Because, man, if something happened to one of my dogs because I wasn't able to get a hold of it and get it picked up and get it in the boat or whatever, because out here we don't have gators, obviously. We're back in Florida, we had gators. So you got to have a dog that'll listen. And I got an electric collar on Cessna, and it's not so much about shocking her. Every now and then you got to let her know who's boss, because they are stubborn in the sense that they have a lot of drive. No, it's just some bubbles. Leave it. But anyway, we've got 3 Monsterlanders. And leave it. It's bubbles. You're going to fall in. You're going to fall in. Leave it. Anyway, there's only about 2,000. Cessna, quit. She's about to bail off the boat after some bubbles. Anyway, these dogs are 45 pounds, so I can pick them up and get them back in the boat if they need it. They know how to get in the boat, though. There's a hunting on the back of the boat. Like I say, if you guys go check out, like and subscribe, share, do all that stuff if you would. Because what we do is, I did a thing about my boat so you can see how it's put together. Because it's built for duck hunting and running shallow, and then I kind of made a bass boat out of it. But it does not have a live well in it. And they also have banned these boats for use in tournaments in Florida. You can't use an airboat, and you can't use a Go Devil surface drive or a mud motor because we could get into places you just can't get my nitro. What we used to do in some of those tournaments is we'd take my airboat because I lived in Florida. I had an offshore boat, I had an airboat, I had a flats boat, I had a bass boat, I had a little bass Benham, and I had a mud motor boat because you got to kind of have them all if you guide. And anyway, we'd take the mud motor or the airboat and we'd go figure out where we were going to fish the tournament. We'd pre-fish in the mud motor boat or the airboat, and then we'd figure out how to get the bass boat to our spot. And we've gone out and dug ditches. We've done all kinds of stuff to get the bass boat into places. But it usually paid off. Because people would ask, like, where were you? We didn't see you all day. And we'd be up in some hole in the cattails. Because in Florida, you find one of those holes that's got, 10 foot of water in it. And it's probably like a 3-acre hole, like a little lake almost. And man, you get into one of those, you just got to be calm, but you can catch some big fish in there. Should get a fish off this now. They haven't turned on yet. They will. We'll do this next week or maybe even Thursday because it's supposed to be in the 70s and 80s all week and 70 and 80 degree air temperature. Oh, there's one. That's a good fish. Yeah, that's a good one. Holy crap. That's a good fish. Either we got it hooked funny or it's a good fish. And I don't have my net. Yeah, that's a good one. Come on, Cessna. We got to get this. We're going to have to sling it in the boat. We got to sling it in the boat, Cessna. We're going to have to sling it in the boat. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out. Ah, there we go. That's a good one. Hang on, Cessna. So there you go. Another Lake Alexander smallmouth, which I could lip, but I really don't want to get a hook in my hand. Because, boy, that hurts. There you go. I can get it where the sun's good so y'all can see it without all the shadows and stuff. But yeah, it's a pretty fish. And that one's 14 inches, I guarantee it. Yep. Yep. Right at 14. Good fish. Good girl. Thank you. Rock piles. Like and subscribe, all you guys who just joined. For some reason, I don't see my, what do you call it? The chat. I don't know why it's not on, and I have no idea how to mess with it because if I turn it on, I'll probably shut the whole thing off. So anyway, like and subscribe. I appreciate it, and share it. And I'll be back out here Thursday. We'll keep fishing. I ain't going anywhere yet, but Cessna, you gotta get out of the way. But yeah, like we're over the rock pile right here. But I'll be back out Thursday. I'll mess with that gimbal so you guys don't have to look at a crooked picture. And although Cessna looks good, huh? She's very pretty. If you like my dog, hit the like button. We weren't going to worry about monetizing. I wasn't going to mess with all that. And then my wife, because I've only got like, I don't know, 300 subscribers, and I appreciate all of you, but we weren't going to worry about it. And then I take a lot of kids fishing and hunting. And when I was at Fish and Game, I worked for Idaho Fish and Game for 8 years when I first moved here to Idaho. I wasn't a conservation officer. I was did habitat and aquatic education. So we take a lot of kids fishing and hunting, and people that haven't been hunting, like take a lot of people turkey hunting and that. And my wife was like, if you got that monetized, we could use that money to help pay for some of this, because I usually foot the bill when I take somebody fishing, or hunting especially, because if they don't have guns or they don't have anything, um, there's nothing better than showing a kid the outdoors. Because once you get them hooked on it, man, it helps keep then they have an appreciation for it, and they help keep all this clean. And you got all these kids that want to play video games all the time, and that's all fine, but to do it all the time, play a fishing video game, but they won't go fish. So we take a lot of people. I took my buddy's wife out start of the year. There's video on it in my channel. My buddy wanted his wife to start hunting. She wanted it, and she'd shot some ground squirrels and stuff. And he asked me. It was Devin's his name. He's a good guy. And he's in his late 20s. She was 9 months pregnant when I took her up there. So she's 9 months pregnant, sitting in the turkey blind. I was praying, Lord, just give me one bird for her, because this needs to go really well. Because if it goes well, she's going to be hooked on hunting. And sure enough, I called in the biggest turkey we've shot in Idaho so far in all the years I've been here, and she nailed it. And so she is now hooked on turkey hunting, which is good, because then she'll go with her husband more. And now she's wanting to deer hunt and elk hunt and all that. But he said that's all she talked about for 3 weeks was shooting that turkey, and she's still excited about it. And they just had their baby boy Stetson. So she said that every time I'd call, he'd kick. Because again, she was 9 months pregnant. She was 2 weeks after we went on that hunt. They had Stetson. But I just enjoy taking people to do stuff like that, because just to see them excited. That's why I like guiding. Made good money at it, because I had a TV show back in the day in Florida called Reeling in the Treasure Coast. And that was about fly fishing on the Indian River. But if I had my druthers, I'd rather bass fish than pretty much anything, or catch snook. I enjoy fly fishing in salt water in the river down there for redfish and snook and trout, but I like bass fishing because it's fresh water. You don't have to clean the boat up. If you don't clean the boat when you get done that day, it's not the end of the world, because it's not sitting with a bunch of salt on it. And when you fish salt water, you guys got to remember, when you take a saltwater guide and go fishing, there's if I only took 2 people at a time, because we were fly fishing. We'd get out and wade. Occasionally I'd take 3. And I didn't fish. I'd sit on the bow and run the boat, the trolling motor. But you take a saltwater guide, starts in the morning, like say we're going to meet at 6. I'm up at 4 o'clock getting everything ready. And an offshore trip, if we're leaving at 6 or first light in Florida, I'm up at 3:30, because I got to go catch bait or rig bait for offshore fishing. So there's a lot of work to it. So when you guys see what these guys are making guiding, they earn it, because when we get done with the day, if we kept some fish, I got to clean your fish for you. And then we get done with all of that. And after the clients leave, I've got a couple hours worth of work cleaning the boat up, because it's got salt water all over it. So, and they get dirty and messy with all the people in there with fish guts and stuff like that. So be good to your guides, because they do work their asses off. I mean, and there's some guides out there like that guy, that Brock guy or Brick guy or whatever, that went viral because he jumped on that guy's boat. He's just an ass. And there's always one or two like that. Sorry it's not as fast this morning as I was hoping, but I guarantee you Thursday might be a good day. And then as the weeks go on, we'll do more live stuff and I'll figure this thing out so that it's not crooked. Look, I don't know why. See, and it just flipped again. I have no idea why it's doing that. And I gotta click that, and then it goes to there, and then it's fine. Thanks for hanging with me, y'all. I appreciate it. But I'll get this figured out. I just gotta figure out how to, so it doesn't want to follow me. And I don't know why it's doing that because it's got a little thing you could put on there that it'll follow you, and I don't even have it on. It's in my pocket. But I guarantee you there'll be some days out here where we catch a smallmouth on almost every cast. And when they start hitting that top water here in a couple weeks, it is just a hoot. Because I was throwing a tiny torpedo. I thought buzzbait would work too, but I was throwing a tiny torpedo. I got a live pointer topwater prop bait that does real well, but they quit making them, and I've only got one left. And it's a hell of a bass lure, so I kind of hate to lose it, use it out here to lose it. So I started using tiny torpedoes because they're cheap. But I was throwing it out and working it, like, do walking the dog and stuff with it. And the other thing is, if you're using top water, do the Yes, Jesus Loves Me. Because I'm not kidding you. If you work that to Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. The Bible tells me so. I'm telling you, that's the pattern. And people would laugh about that, but I mean, I got a strong faith, so I don't laugh about it, but it works. You can do it with your stick baits too. Cesta's getting bored. She says, we need a big fish, Dad. We need one 16-incher. So I haven't caught an 8-pound smallmouth. I've caught a lot of big largemouth over 10, like I said, but I've never caught a big smallmouth. The biggest one I caught was just over 7 pounds, which I caught that on the Snake River last year, as a matter of fact. And I caught a lot over 6, but the 8-pound smallmouth, they say, is like the 10-pound largemouth. You catch an 8-pound smallie, you've done something. So I know where they're at. They're in here. I know they're in here. I've seen them, but I just haven't got that 8-pounder yet. And these things hit frogs and that, but not like a largemouth. I think to catch a big smallmouth, I'm going to have to try a crawdad pattern of some sort and get it on these ledges where it drops from, 3 foot to 40 foot of water and work a crawdad pattern down the ledge. I've caught 6-pounders in here on this lure I'm using right now. But I think, Cessna, come here. Come on, get out of here. Why you want to do that? I'm a dog. I know. You pin in the butt. Why you shut my thing off? Then we got to turn it again. And then we have a dog. She's decided to take over my spot. And when the dog does what the dog wants to do. And if I could get that to stay right there, but it won't. Come on off. You can't stay there. Our friends on the thing can't see it. I know you. Come on, good girl. I don't know why this does this. It turns on, and then I click it, and then the orientation, it says the orientation's locked. If any of you guys know how to fix that, to where I unlock the orientation, because on the side of this, it has the flip thing. It's got all the stuff along the side, and there it goes again. So if I could just get it to stay like that, but that thing shuts off. When it shuts off, it for some reason it just shuts itself off. I don't know why. And Cessna, quit knocking the camera off. Everybody gets to see Cessna's butt. Knucklehead. Not as many fish back down here as I thought there was going to be. I caught a couple weeks ago, the water temperature was 53 degrees, and I caught 6 or 7 off this pile right here. And they were all keepers. That day I only caught 15, but all but 2 of them were over 14 inches. Which I figured, with the water temperature being what it was at 53 degrees, they were staging until it got to where it's at now in 60, 61. We ought to run out to the main lake and see how muddy it is. But I was kind of waiting on doing that Thursday. Give it some time to get good and clear out there, or at least clearer than what it is. Get clearer and get a little warmer. "25-foot of water." Cessna, where's that fish? Should be right there. Carp sure are up there raising Cain. Not Cessna. You run up there and work that edge again, Cessna, because I don't know. I would think that maybe that gimbal's shutting off because the battery'd be low, but I charged it before I came out here. And I haven't had it going for that long that it should be causing me issues. Cessna, what's the matter? She said, when we go home, I always go get in the water, huh? Yeah, she always go get in the water, don't you? She said, I'm a water dog. I like the water, don't you? So you like the water? She said, I like swimming, Dad. She said, thanks for taking me fishing. She said, Piper and Lily are going to be mad when we get home, huh? Watch out, you're going to fall in. Good girl. Good girl. Whoops. Good girl. Good girl. Now we'll catch a fish. We got some dog love. Ain't nothing like getting some dog love. Professional override. Casting into wind. I need to turn around and cast it with the wind so I can get some of that out of there. There we go. I'm using a Captain rod and reel. It's a Royal Select rod, 7-foot, fast action, medium heavy. Watch out. The reason I use that fast action of that's because I'm using braid. And we started using these stick baits with braid back in Florida with a little fluorocarbon leader on it. Or if the water's stained, we don't put a leader on it. But anyway, Rick Clunn, watch out, Cessna. Rick Clunn, who fishes professionally. Anybody who bass fishes knows Rick. He's a hell of a fly fisherman, and we got to be friends because I was a hell of a fly fisherman and guided that and had those records and stuff. And he liked catching snook, but he was fishing, FLW and Bass Angler Sportsman Society tournaments. And Rick he's won quite a few of them. He's a good guy. Anyway, he's a hell of a fisherman. Like I said, anyway, we were talking to him because he was asking us how I was fishing these stick baits with braid and not ripping the hook out of their mouth when you set the hook because the braid doesn't stretch. And I told him, I said, well, I've got my drags turned way light. So when I do set the hook, it strips the drag so I don't rip it out of their mouth, and then I just tighten the drag down. And I got to use a fast action rod so I could get the hook set, but I got to have like a medium heavy, so that I could pull a hook straight if I do get it hung up and something. And so we were telling Rick what kind of rod we needed. Like if we could have, rod built kind of like this KastKing is, it would really help us out. Well, he was, Bass Pro Shop sponsored Rick. So he talked to them and they built a rod for that reason. And he sent me a couple of them, and man, those things work great. Well, now KastKing and a few others have them, and Bass Pro, back in the day, man, they had some awesome equipment, but they've gotten to where everything that gets out of China, and they just don't hold together like they used to. And these KastKing rods and reels aren't very expensive. They're not cheap, but the reel's $80, and the rod was, I think, $79 or $80. So for $160, and it's a 7-to-1 ratio, so they're pretty fast retrieve. And then I've got one that's 10-to-1 that I use for top water, and it's a KastKing. And I hadn't had any problems with them. Great little rod, great little reel, and they handle the braid pretty well. So I haven't like destroyed one because I had braid on it, where some of those older reels weren't made for braid. Boy, braid is hard on a reel, and it's hard on a rod too. But I pretty much fish with nothing but braid. I do have one spinning rod that's got fluorocarbon on it that I use for drop shotting and stuff. But other than that, I'm throwing braid. And I change my line out every year. You kind of probably don't have to, but man, I hate losing a big fish because I didn't. Like, I should retie this leader. I haven't retied. If I was in a tournament, I retie after every fish. But out here messing around, other than losing a lure, that's probably what had happened. That 8-pounder that I'm trying to catch is going to hit when I have a lure that's got 10 fish or 20 fish on the leader without me retying. Sun's gotten up and the fish kind of slowed down here. But I think we're going to ease up. There's some rocks up there that I haven't fished this morning. We're going to come out here one night. We'll probably go live when we do it. We'll come out here and catfish because there's a 52-foot hole in front of me. It's the deepest part of this reservoir. It's the deepest hole I've found. And right now it's probably got 55 foot of water in it because the water's up a little bit. And they said the biggest catfish they've caught in here was 17 pounds. And that was a gal who works at the sheriff's department. And she caught it a few years ago. So I know there's some decent channel cats in here, but there's a 17-pounder in here as old as this reservoir is. But the catfish, from what I understand, were introduced by Fish and Game probably 15 years ago. And then they've had some die-offs and they didn't know why. But there's a mess of catfish in the Snake River now that people have released in there. And again, I catch them in my crawdad traps. I've never really fished for them down there. Oh, there's a fish. Little one. Yep, on that rock pile. Coming back up here. We had to get out of our spot. A little dink. Dink. You guys can't even see it because of the doggone sun. Cessna says, I want to play with it. No, ma'am. Little dink. Come on, buddy. Little one. Hard to see with that sun. Bloop. See if we can't get a bigger one off of here. Should be one right there, Cessna. If you get it on top of the rocks, hold the rod tip up, keep it out of the rocks, and as it gets a little deeper, drop it down and get that lure to drop down that ledge. Some grass up in here. What are you doing, Cessna? She said, I'm waiting for you to catch another fish, Dad. There was a hit. There it is. There's one. There's one, Cessna. That's a good one. It's a 12-incher. A little bigger. Get down here where you guys can see these fish. Because they are healthy. One thing about it, they're very healthy. They don't have a bunch of sores on them. It's clean water here. It comes out of Bear Lake down near Montpelier, Idaho. Bear Lake is that big, they call it the Caribbean of the Rockies because it's really clear and pretty. There you go. Pretty little smallmouth. 12-incher. Give it a kiss. Say, see you, buddy. Go make babies. Get up here and get turned around a little bit so y'all can see what I'm doing. For those of you who just joined us, we're on Lake Alexander. Like and subscribe. We'll be doing a lot of fishing this summer. I know this channel's new, but I've had it for a couple months. We didn't do a lot this winter, obviously, because it's winter. But boy, once summer gets here, like it has, we didn't go out on Memorial Day weekend because I learned a long time ago I stay the hell off the water on Memorial Day weekend. My first wife, my son's mom, Tammy, we were skiing Memorial Day weekend. There's a hit right there. Come on, get it. And some kids showing off ran over the ski rope, and my wife had her hand wrapped up in the ski rope, and sure enough, tore off 2 of her fingers. It's a good thing it didn't kill her. Another little dink. Anyway, so we do not get on the water on major holidays because those guys were drunk and about killed her. She lost her thumb and a pinky finger on her right hand. And her mom, we were engaged at the time, we weren't married. Her mom was ready to kill me. She thought I did something. Anyway, so we stay off. Whoa, no, don't beat yourself up, buddy. Come on, I'm just gonna. No, I hate it when that happens. Because unless I'm gonna eat them, I take good care of these little guys. I want this one to grow up and come back and be an 8-pounder. There you go. Try and move this thing to where it'll. I don't know why it won't stay. Welcome, everybody. My name's Radar. We're on Lake Alexander, Soda Springs, Idaho, catching smallmouth bass. We're fishing rock piles. Water's kind of dirty up here because the carp have been up here. There's a whole bunch of carp in front of me. And they're up here rooting around. There's grass all over the top of the water where they've been feeding. But there's a rock pile up here in front of us. I'm going to go fish. We just caught a couple little ones. Biggest one I caught today was just at 14 inches. And on this lake, they have to be 14 inches to keep them. But like I said earlier, I don't keep them unless they're 16 inches. And I don't keep any this time of the year. They're full of eggs. And when we do keep fish, you're allowed to keep 6. So if my wife are out here, we might keep 10 out of the 12 we're allowed to keep because that's plenty for a fish fry, especially when you're keeping 16-inch fish. And these things, there's a lot of smallmouth in here. and they are an invasive species. Now they're a sport fish, so we obviously, but they weren't originally in here, and they got some in Blackfoot Reservoir, which is about 20 miles north of us, and it's a big reservoir on the Blackfoot River, and there's smallmouth in there now, and they're trying to get them out of there because they're really hard on the trout population. And that river, the Blackfoot River, has a native cutthroat population that at Fish and Game, when I worked there, we really do a lot to try and keep them happy, the cutthroats. So anyway, you can keep any smallmouth you want to up on Blackfoot, but I've been up there fish farming. It's super clear water, so it's really hard to catch those things up there. I need to take an ultralight and just go up with one of my ultralight rods that Lee Howard built for me and get into them. But the only hits I've had up there have been on top water. And my vet, he fishes it trying to catch those smallies, and it's just tough. Come on, fish, I know you're there. Come on, fishy. Fishy, fishy. Should be one right there, Cessna. Right there. Should be one right there, Cessna. Anyway, like and subscribe. Share it. My sister has a hell of a channel. It's called Southern Corner. And man, if you think I got a Southern accent, you should hear my sister's. And she does stuff on cooking and just Southern living. It's called Granny's Southern Corner. I'll try and figure out how to put a link to it on there, but go check it out. Because she's got a voice that'll just, and she's not boring. It's just she'll put you to sleep because it's such a nice Southern drawl she has. It's crazy. But we were going to start doing some stuff together. We'll all come out and catch some catfish or something, and then she'll show y'all how to cook them Southern style. Because we do crawdad boils out. Man, there's some crawdads out here. When I first got out here to Idaho, I was, deer hunting out on the Snake River, and had shot a deer and gutted it and all, and put the stuff in the water. Went down there that night, and there were just a bazillion eyes looking back at me in the water. It was crawdads, and I thought, hell, I'm gonna have to get some crawdad traps. So I built some, and we started trapping crawdads up here on this lake. This lake, we don't do real well on this lake, and I think it's because there's so many smallmouth. They keep the crawdads pretty well thinned down. But we crawdad fish on the Bear River below this lake, and usually get enough in 3 days that we could do a pretty good boil. But they're not real big crawdads. And down on the Snake River, I was having trouble catching them, and I couldn't figure out why, because I know they're in there. Well, the holes on my traps, there's one. The holes on my traps were too small. That's a feisty little male. Come on, buddy. Another good fish. Just a little one. But it's a fish. Huh, Cessna? Come on, hold still, buddy. Let me get you. So anyway, I started opening holes on my crawdad traps, and we were catching some huge crawdads. We had 5 of them, was 1.5 pounds. Another little, nice little bass. Huh. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Dang it. My hands don't work like they used to. So I don't know about you guys. But man, when you get old, things just kind of quit working. And it ticks me off. Anyway, we started catching crawdads. And one year, I guess it was about 5 or 6 years ago, I had 15 traps out. You're allowed 6 traps or 5 traps. Yeah, 5 traps per fishing license. So my wife had 5 out, I had 5 out, and my son had 5 out. And we were catching like 100 pounds a night with 15 traps. We had more crawdads, had to buy an extra freezer at the house because we were doing boils like twice a week. And thought about doing it commercially. But the next year, I think they go on like a 7-year pattern or something where there's a whole bunch of them. and then there's just not many for a couple of years. We still catch a lot on the Snake River because there's not too many people that put crawdad traps out down there. At least there weren't. There's a lot of people moving into the area now with all that stuff going on in California and that. And there he is. He wants it. He's right there. Nope. He saw the boat and said, "No way." But we have a pretty big influx of people here in Idaho with all the stuff that's going on in California and in other states with the gun control. And in Idaho, nobody cares. You can carry a weapon however you want to carry it. We don't have school shootings and stuff like they do in other places because in Idaho, just about everybody's carrying a firearm. Like I don't have one on today, but so you kind of, a lot of people are moving here because we've got a lot of freedoms here in this state that they've taken away in some of the other states, which is sad. But that's politics. I try not to talk politics if I can help it. You get enough of that on Truth and on Facebook and on. I do have an Instagram account. I don't put much on it. I do most of my stuff on YouTube here because it's just easier. We got some pretty scenery, and my dog's enjoying it. Get back down there on that rock pile, Cessna. And maybe we'll check the battery on that phone. I'll run out to the main lake, take a look. There's some rock pile. Oh, there's one right there, a little dink. That one, watch out, Seth. You can see the lure's about as big as the fish is. Aggressive. Come on, buddy. I don't want to hurt you. Get this hook out of you and get you back in the water. Come on. Come on, little guy. The ones get a kiss. Beautiful morning. There's one other boat on the lake. When I got here, there's nobody else out here. But there's 5 foot of water, a bunch of rocky bottom and stuff. It slowly drops off to a hole right here that's 51 foot deep. And I really want to come sit up here and catfish that hole one night because I know they're in here. We catch probably on these live pointers. We'll catch probably 5 or 6 channel cats a year on these things, and they're usually good size. Like 6, 7 pounds. So we eat them because they're delicious. But what I was going to say about those crawdads is I finally figured out how to catch them by opening the holes up on my crawdad traps. So I'm catching all these crawdads, and the water's so clear. I'm used to catching them in murky water, in the south. It's Tanis water, and it's got mud in it and all that. And we weren't sure how these crawdads were going to taste out here. But the first time we cooked them up, man, they're little lobsters. They're delicious. They're sweet. The water's clean, so they're clean. I usually soak them for about 3 days in a holding pen so they'll clean themselves out. But man, the crawdads are delicious. But I was sending pictures of them to people. They couldn't believe they're signal crawdads. They're actually an invasive crawdad here that's kind of taken over. There were 5 original species of crawdads in Idaho, and there's still 5 species here. The signal would be the 6th, I think, and it's like I say, invasive, but they're real aggressive and they're a lot bigger than the other species, so they just do real well. And they sure feed the heck out of the the smallmouth, because boy, they eat the heck out of every fish we catch, even the trout. You catch a rainbow trout in here, or a brown trout, or whatever, the Snake River here, and they've got crawdads in the gullet usually. So crawdad pattern's awesome. It's just a little bit slower fishing than I like to do, especially on a day like today. Oh, sister. But like and subscribe. We're going to try and get it monetized at some point and do all that stuff. There's a bald eagle over there chasing a hawk. And I don't see the hawk carrying anything. Might be an osprey. There's a bald eagle just going nuts over there. Better be careful, Cessna. That eagle swoop down trying to take you. But yeah, we get monetized. We'll take that money and do those super chats or whatever all that's called, and everything we make we'll put towards taking kids hunting and fishing. I'm real careful about the reason I don't guide anymore is because I had my back fused in a bunch of places and I got a real bad back. I couldn't walk for 2 years. In 2021, when we bought this boat, we went down and picked it up in Louisiana. I don't know if you guys can see it. There's a bald eagle right in front of us there. Flying up the river. What? What were you mad at that hawk about? Huh? She's getting with the program. Yes, she's going to find breakfast. But yeah, my back's all messed up, so I can't. Some mornings I might plan on going fishing, and I get up and man, I just can't move. So I gotta kind of pick my days. I can't go do this every day like I used to. So it's hard to try and schedule trips with people. And then, if I wake up and my back won't let me go, then I got to cancel it. And I just don't like doing that. So the guide and I do is basically just free trips, taking kids fishing and stuff. And friends that have friends that want to come out to Idaho and kill a turkey or something. I've got friends that come from out of state to go elk. And for a while there, I was kind of helping with that, but I just can't guide that stuff anymore. Well, we've been off the rock pile for a little bit, Cessna. Are you getting bored? Huh? Are you getting bored? Say, Dad, come on, catch a fish. I think what we need to do is cast right out there in front of us. Get it on the edge of that rock pile. Pretty morning. Red-winged blackbirds are back. The robins are back at the house. They're building their nest. Our swallows came back a couple days ago. We've got a swallow box in front of the house for tree swallows. And they come back every year. They've been coming since we bought that house 11 years ago. And they came back 3 days ago. I got to keep the front of the birdhouse blocked off with duct tape to keep the sparrows from getting in there and build a nest before the swallows get back. But should be a fish right there, Cessna. We're right on the edge of them rocks. But anyway, the swallows were busy yesterday getting their nest built. So summer's here. And we'll be doing a lot of fishing, and hunting season gets here. We'll be down on the Snake River deer camp. We do a lot of fishing while we're down there. I don't know if y'all go through, like and subscribe, and go through some of my pictures. You'll see some of the brown trout we catch in rainbows. There's some big ones down there. So we deer hunt in the morning, then go fish for a little while, and then deer hunt in the evening because it's whitetail hunting down there. In Idaho, there's a great whitetail population, but people don't come to Idaho to kill whitetails. They come here to kill mule deer and elk. So a lot of people don't mess with the whitetails. Again, there's more people down there now, especially in the since COVID. It's gotten crazy with the number of people here because so many people moved here from California. And not all of them are bad. Some of the people here get really mad about California people moving here. But, the ones that moved here are actually pretty good people. And it seems like they're not trying to bring their politics with them because that's why they moved, was to get away from it. So I've got a couple of them I got to be pretty good friends with. But they did drive the housing prices up. Holy cow. It's crazy. I don't know how a lot of people are affording to live nowadays because, man, I didn't know the. No, 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 no. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come off, 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 off. She's going to get up there and knock that thing over again. Come here, Cessna. Why? She really wants to be on that cooler. Come here, girlfriend. I can't do that with you sitting there, honey. You're going to knock that off and knock it into the water. So, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break here real quick. Sit down. Get my dog. Yeah. I know. You love daddy. I'm trying to. I can't get this thing to go. There we go. I'm getting love. Sorry about that, guys. The dog knocked the. Yeah, I love you too, baby. You're going to get my sunglasses all nasty. Cessna says, I don't know why this thing just will not work right. I think there must be a battery issue with the doggone. A battery issue with the thing. So we've been going at this a while. My phone's about dead. Again, sorry about the mess with the phone. I'm going to take this off of here and then I can just hold it maybe. Hang on a second. Sorry about that. Again, I'm getting used to all this stuff. And I know I can flip that. It'll flip around. It's been a pretty good morning. So we're going to call it a day, I think, on this live stream. For those of you guys who stuck around, I appreciate it. Like and subscribe if you would. We'll be doing a lot more fishing down here. And there's some good fish in here. We'll have some days, like I said earlier this morning. I guarantee it'll be 100, 150 fish days. And it's coming up because these fish will get up here and start getting ready to spawn. So again, like and subscribe and share it. Go check out my sister's channel. It's called Granny's Southern Corner. She's got a lot of just talking to the younger people and stuff about things. And she's funny. She's got a hell of an accent. Like I said, it's fun to watch her accent because she's a hoot. But Cessna is having a pretty good day. She just wants to keep getting in the way of the camera, don't you? She said, I want to be on the camera, Dad. This is Cessna, our Monster Lander pointer. We've got 3 more at the house. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me this morning, y'all. We'll be back later, probably Thursday. I'll try to figure out how to set it up so everybody who subscribes knows that I'll be out here and do this live stream thing again. But have a good day. God bless you all. And I appreciate you hanging out with me. Take care. Here's one last view of our mountains. It's gorgeous. Lake Alexander, Soda Springs, Florida. Y'all have a good day.